Soul triggers, power, holy, divine righteousness. Combined with courage, love of essence. Don't let trauma bind and block your blessings. When you behind the veil, you hear the confession. Give you limitation, corruption, fear, deception. This the age of knowing, evolution, and resurrection.
Welcome back to another episode of Talk That Crap. I'm joined with my brothers again tonight with Downey Divine and Mr. Sigma Uno, my brother from no other. And tonight we're going to have a great show tonight. Tonight we're going to be talking about the yo-yo mentality. Can you cut the string? And we're going to talk about what's your formula. And know that you are the code that needs to be deciphered. You are the code that need to be deciphered. So with that, welcome back to the platform, fellas. Could you introduce yourself right quick? Don't everybody do that one time.
I'm not sure if Mr. Sigmund is still here. What's good? It's your boy Downey Divine. I don't really know what to say. How do I introduce myself? I am a truth speaker, a knowledge reader, and I'm just someone who's constantly growing day to day.
Well, we glad to have you back growing day to day. And I know for sure that you in the game really heavy and you going through it. You know, as if you ain't going through it right now, you're probably not even growing. So going through it right now is a
I be calling you all the time, telling you some stuff. I'm just like, all right, man. Hey, bro.
And guess what? We get it locked in.
Like, am I wrong to even like? I feel like I was wrong to even read this right now.
Nah, man. That's what brothers do together. Yeah. You know, when you on this journey, man. Sometimes it is difficult to express yourself as a melanated man with all the emotions and the mental construction that you have. Yeah, it's difficult when you got a family and children and grandkids and dreams and jobs and situations and friends and families and all of these things happen in these social events and, you know, economical health industries and all of these things that happen. You got to navigate that. That's not the easiest thing to do, you know?
Yeah.
So I always commend, you know, men that are really out there going through, they realizing what they have to do in order to, you know, achieve, to succeed, to ascend, to rise above all of those different things that plagues them. So tonight, my brother is going through a little something on some technical difficulties, and I'm pretty sure he'll be back in, my brother Sigma Uno. But right now, we're going to just slide and move right on in. And we're going to talk about the yo-yo mentality. Now, the reason why I was intrigued to this particular conversation of the yo-yo mentality, I was watching Tony Rock one day, and he made I think it was one of his comedy specials, and he made a joke about all black people, we can speak the same language. And he said, be back home before
the lights turn on.
See what I'm saying? So
be back before the lights turn on.
You know what I'm saying? And he laughed and he was like, yo, y'all are grown adults and y'all 30s, 40s, and 50s. And right now, y'all still on that same little loop. You know, right now, be home. I ain't said nothing else. I say, be home. You say before the lights come on. So that's where the yo-yo mentality came from. It was like, damn, if that can happen, and it was something that is laughable and good for us, and it taught us that, hey man, you know, them lights come on, you better take your. It gave us discipline and responsibility that you had to pay attention, and when them lights come on, you better be taking your behind to the house.
Or already at,
you know, right. So here I am, just sitting and pondering. It's like, wow, if that can happen. Hold on one second, my brother joining back in. Sigmundo, can you hear me? I can't see you.
Yeah, I can't see him either.
Come back in. So I was sitting there just in pondering, going like, wow, man, look at how everybody in that crowd, and even myself, was like, yeah, before the lights come on, everybody was in sync. Everybody had the same understanding. Everybody knew what that meant.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, if that can happen like that, and it was good for you, what happens to a yo-yo mentality when you have something that is just on a string and it's just pulling you back and forth? Can you speak a little bit to that description of being on a string with that yo-yo mentality?
I mean, me personally, I speak out of things that I have been through, that I have dealt with. The yo-yo mentality, that right there was just something that was that particular saying that you had said, "Be back before the street lights turn on," was something that my mom and them used to say, and I never really understood the context of that until I ended up coming down to the South, and I ended up learning about the what is it, sundown towns, and I guess that's where it originally originated from. And I was like, well, dang, there are some things that we end up bouncing back to based off of things that we have dealt with in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the biggest issues for me is understanding that certain traumas that I may have gone through, I cannot hold other people to those things based off of the fact that even though it may remind me of it, they are not that person. They are not the cause of that trauma. So me having a moment and reverting back to the way that I had responded or reacted in those situations in that time is not the way that I should conduct myself now. So when I hear the yo-yo mentality, it's more along the lines of, okay, cool. For me, I'm thinking the fluctuation of the things that I've gone through in life and how it's affecting me now. There's things that I may be trying to do in the future where you know how sometimes they say fake it till you make it. Okay, cool. You're not there yet, but at the same time, you're trying to conduct yourself in that way. Or even so, when example, if you have a PTSD moment, you revert back to that exact moment of when it's happening and you're conducting yourself in that same manner, not aware of what's happening at the present right now.
Mm-hmm.
So the yo-yo mentality for me is more of a mental state. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's all I got for that one right now.
Well, you tapped on some very key qualities as far as understanding your perspective of that yo-yo mentality. And the beautiful thing about it is everyone has a particular angle on that yo-yo mentality. For me, I approach the yo-yo mentality, as you stated at the end, as that mental construct, that thing that allows you to be in a day-to-day. And the thing about the yo-yo is you can do a lot of tricks with the yo-yo. The same way your mind can do a lot of tricks on you.
Mm-hmm.
Your mind will have you in a up and down, side to side moment where you just in a game and you just going up and down and really having no clarity. You just stuck in the yo-yo. You just stuck in that up and down moment. What happens when you're in a yo-yo mentality and when it comes to relationships? And then
Mm-hmm.
now you just find yourself in a yo-yo mentality. And because these are all conception and beliefs of what that mentality is, because it's a mental construct. That's why we so comfortable in it. Those who love the yo-yo, they like it because they love the yo-yo. They create and do all these different and learn all of these different tricks because of the love for what they have. Some people have a love for ideas or circumstances and they stay in that yo-yo. Can you speak to that perspective of be having an ideas or being stuck in circumstances and being on that yo-yo?
Oh, when you say that, the first time that crossed my mind was individuals who get a thrill and that adrenaline rush out of toxic relationships.
Okay. Okay. Well, boom. Boom.
Where they're so used to the chaos to where if they don't have the chaos, they end up creating some because they're trying to get back to that familiar feeling. So now it's like they're doing these different tricks to try and get back to what they're familiar with, the familiarity of walking the dog, if you want to stick with that yo-yo mentality. So
Right.
knowing that, okay, cool, they're comfortable with the yo-yo rolling, doing these types of things. But then at some point it's going to snap back. And when it snaps back, they're not ready. It might hit their finger and hurt them for a second. What's up, Haley? So when it comes down to relationships, as you stated before, that toxic relationship, or even when it comes down to codependency. So I mean, there's a lot of things when it comes down to relationships, which I love talking about relationships. You know that. So I can hit on this one. The toxic mentality, the codependency. Even if we were to go into narcissist type deals, which I still feel falls toxic, so I'm gonna leave that one in that category. When an individual is used to something being a certain way, or they become comfortable with that, complacency kills. That's a lot of times what ends up being the downfall of an individual, because they get comfortable in something, they're not trying to see anything differently. So when you're trying to force somebody to see something differently, it's the same thing to where if I gave you a yo-yo, it was like, hey, do an Eiffel Tower. I mean, yes, I might know how to do it. I might know how to do it, but to you, it's going to be something that's straight. It's new. You might be only familiar with walking the dog. You might only be familiar with sending the yo-yo to sleep. But when it comes down to actually getting it to go to sleep and then adding another step of walking, of doing the Eiffel Tower, or even making a star, that right there could throw you all the way off, which therefore then would disrupt your yo-yo. Now you're just hanging. So now you're going to be stuck in that chaos. And due to the fact that it's not something that you're used to, you're going to do something to make you feel comfortable where you were before, which may be disturbing some peace, whether with yourself or with somebody else, to put you back in that system of chaos, or to put you back in something that you are familiar with. So when it comes down to relationships and that yo-yo mentality, it's not good, because how can you sit there and try and grow with somebody, or even grow in general, if you're trying to just constantly go up and down or left and right? When it comes down to the goals and the dreams, you cannot attain anything if you don't work towards it. So if you just have goals and dreams, but you're not doing anything to work towards it, matter of fact, you told me the other day, you were like, you can read all you want, but if you're not applying it, what the fuck are you doing? Not a damn thing. So you're sitting there literally as the yo-yo, you're asleep, you're stuck, you're just staying there. And I mean, maybe you might get swung around the world, but other than that, you're not accomplishing anything. When you need to get back to where you started and actually get your ducks in a row and understand, okay, cool. If this is the way that I want my life to be, I need to make sure that I have that 6-month plan, I have that 1-year plan, that 5-year plan, that 10-year plan, 15-year plan, and so on and so forth, while at the same time making those SMART goals and making sure that you are following up on it. Every year on my birthday, I sit down and I stay away from everybody just to make sure, okay, cool. Am I doing, over the last 365 days since my last birthday, born day, solar return, whatever you want to call it, what have I accomplished? Am I on track with where it is that I want to be? Am I doing the things that I need to do?
No Super Saiyan right now. No Super Saiyan.
Yeah, that's Ultra Instinct. That's Beyonce was saying. Anyway, don't bring the geek out of me. But am I doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing, or am I stuck in a point to where I am frozen in time, and I am comfortable with where I am? Am I no longer pushing myself to be that 1% better than I was yesterday? Am I no longer working towards a goal, or is it now just a dream, something that I'm thinking about, but I'm not doing anything for it?
Okay. I definitely love your approach to that yo-yo mentality, man. And the beautiful thing about it is seeing the evolution of it all through the mind of God. Say, Muno, we was talking about that yo-yo mentality. We was approaching it from multiple aspects, as far as relationships, jobs, thoughts, memories, childhood. Because I started it as, if I was from Tony Rock, and the old saying was, "Be home before."
Dark. For the street lights come on.
Okay, be home before the street lights come on. Okay, so so that what really instigated me to come up with this yo-yo mentality, because
Right.
he was doing a stand-up comedy, and when he made that statement, "Be home," and everybody in the crowd was like, before the street lights come on. I was like, yo, everybody. So my approach to that was, what
Mhm.
happens if we have thought, memory, and idea on a yo-yo mentality, and we calling this life? What you on a yo-yo, you just back and forth, up and down, sideways. You got all of these different tricks that you can do with a yo-yo, yet you still on the yo-yo. Can you talk to us about that?
I mean, but you can only do you can only do as much as the information has been given to you. That's the bottom
Mm,
line. When you're raised in a household and you see the things around you and how it operates, you're going to operate the same way that the household has been operating. When you venture into the world, you're going to take that same mentality that you've been raised with and you're going to apply it to everything that you do. Um, the sad part about it is we've been fed a mentality. Can I go back in history just a little bit? Is that
go ahead,
okay?
do your thing.
So going back in history, we've been fed a mentality since since slavery, and in slavery, we were taught we did a few things. We ate, slept, worked, and shitted. So the expectation of anybody that's outside of who we are, because they instituted those things, know that only that black people only do a certain amount of things, and they deem that in their head they believe that there's nothing outside of that for us. So because those things, and then they added religion to that. So when you add religion and you indoctrinate religion as opposed to allowing spirituality to happen, then you can expect that they're going to act based on the indoctrination. So for 400 and some odd years, they developed this whole way to treat us over slavery, and then we're stuck in this mentality based on watching people die, watching people getting beat within an inch of their life, watching people raped and castrated. All these things were implanted in our brain. So we were created. Our mentality is created by trauma and by indoctrination. So to expect that you're strong enough, or your bloodline is strong enough to come out of that and to release the idea that we've been raised by someone that didn't want well for us at all. They just want something out of us. It's slim to none. Now, I'm not saying it can't be done because it has been done.
Right.
It has been done on the basis of people that fought against it, and whether they fought against it and died, or they fought against it and they passed on the information to others. And before you know it, there's a system of things that says, "Hey, we don't have to deal with this shit. Let's move on. Let's move forward. Let's build for ourselves." That happened. That's still happening. So to be stuck in this mind frame, to watch others being stuck in that same mind frame is it's it's a testament to a couple of things, that what they did worked in some cases, but if you see
Mm-hmm.
people outside of that mindset, you realize that it didn't work for everybody. So to sit and to understand that they're on this yo-yo mentality, let's add um, tax time into that. So when you add tax into it, they work all during the year. Tax time comes, they make plans for that money before tax time even hits, and they go spend like they've never spent before. Not that they've ever been taught how to manage money correctly. They just know I got to work to pay my bills, and sometimes that doesn't work all the time. But when they do get a large sum of money, they don't invest in anything. And I'm not speaking for everybody. I'm speaking for the ones that we know that are doing this. They they don't save. They don't invest for future. They can't remember the idea, how to begin to institute the idea of legacy, but they pass it on that same information to their kids and to their kids. But you have one in every family is like, fuck this. I'm not living like this. I got to do something else. I got to make more money. And you have that one that'll pull out and be like, look, I got to do it a different way. I got to make money. I got to be able to save money. I got to get what I want at the same time. So you have they break that mold, but for the most part, here in America, even with what do I hear say, folks? You have someone stuck in this mindset that I got to work to live, and I can't do anything outside of that. So there's 1% of America, and then there's a whole other group. There's 5% that don't believe in the way the system works, and they work completely outside of it. And you'll never see them down around in our arena at all. Period, because they've decided that they weren't going to be in the bottom end of shit. They're going to make the rules for this. You see what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
to get to fully understand, to fully give clarity to what you're saying, for me, it's watching that system work, hoping that eventually they'll see that there's a better way to do things and to get out of it. But the yo-yo mentality is something that's inbred. It's stuck in them. It's something that's been given to them over a number of years. And family being raised in that specific type of family feeds that same mentality.
Wow. I mean, beautifully said, especially when you brought it back to the history.
Right, right,
I did take into account what history did, but when the way that you broke it down, it was such
mhm,
in a great way to really give a reflection on as far as why some folks are really stuck in a yo-yo mentality because they're still holding on to something that was created for their own oppression. And so, with
right.
that being said, it leads right into the second way is can you cut the string? Can you cut the string? And what does that mean when you cut the string to this
Right,
mentality?
right,
You know, to be stuck in a mentality and to realize and say, you know what, I'm not even gonna be part of the yo-yo no more. Click.
right,
What does that look
right,
like to individuals who realize, hey, I was brought up this particular way. I was in this particular environment. I was raised in this particular environment in society. I adopted methodologies and mindsets and ideas that does not enhance my life. And now I'm looking to change that. Let's talk about cutting the strings. What does that look like?
I guess I'm going first. Cutting the strings.
Can you
First,
cut the string? Not just cutting them. Like some people may never
yeah,
cut the
I
string.
mean, yes, you can cut the strings. The
Okay.
issue is the fact that a lot of people don't want to.
Okay.
A lot of people do not want to cut the strings because, like I said earlier, it's something that they're familiar with. They don't want to. The same way how they say in order to get balance, you must first be imbalanced. A lot of
Mm,
people are comfortable with being imbalanced, and therefore that chaos that comes with them starting to balance themselves out, that's not something they want to deal with. They feel like they're taking steps backwards when they're actually moving forward, when they are getting growth, and it makes them uncomfortable. So a lot of people rather continue being that yo-yo on the string due to the fact that that is what they're used to. That's what they've dealt with for so long. Anything different is going to put them in a state of panic. And then when they're in a state of panic, who knows what they may do because it's all unfamiliar territory for them. So,
mm,
yes, you can cut the string, but the amount of work that comes with cutting the string, majority of people don't want to do that
mm, mm.
because that means
I,
that you have to unlearn everything that you have been taught and everything that you have learned up to that point. So now it's like, just thinking about it, dang, for example, let's say me, I'm 35 years old, or was this 2024? I'm 34 years old. So with that, that means that everything I've learned up to now, I have to literally data dump that and relearn everything. It's kind of the same way when I was in the Marine Corps and my sergeant major told me, he was like, look, the Marine Corps is changing. You can either change with it, or he was like, you can either change with it or get out. So I'm like, so you mean to tell me that for the last 7.5 years, I needed to forget everything that I have learned and adapt a new way in order to continue moving forward? I'm like, so how am I supposed to do that? Like everything that I was taught, everything that I know is what I have become. And now you're telling me I need to
mm,
lose the identity that I have currently and try and mold something new out of all the time that I have already been doing these things.
mm,
That's very difficult to do. A lot of people do
mm,
not want to deal with that type of pressure up on their own shoulders, and they will not hold themselves accountable to make that change. So, yes,
mm.
the question how you ask, can you cut the string? Yes, you can. But that's like trying to cut through a wire cable with a fucking butter knife. It's
That's not gonna
possible,
work.
but it's going to take a long time, a very long time. And if you do succeed, you're going to feel like you wasted so much time. Was it really even worth it?
Wow, for sure.
Sigma Uno.
I agree to an extent because in some cases you're forced to change. You have
Mm,
to change or you have to adapt to what's going on. If you're
mm,
forced out into the world without anything to work with, you have to adapt. You have to find out how to live in that son of a bitch. And if you don't, you're gonna get plowed over, or you're gonna end up in situations that you don't want to be in. So in some cases, the cord has to be cut because if what you came out with wasn't working, then you got to figure that shit out. If you don't, it's going to be a problem, a huge problem. And with the way the system works, either it's going to be jail or death or jail or death. And that's the way I had to look at it after a while because I was one of them people that was like, okay, I was raised this way. I'm hitting the world. People really don't respond to this shit. So, what do I got to do differently in order to begin to understand how to live? And of course, in the beginning, it was survival, and that's what it is. You have to adapt to survive. And after a
mm,
while, it was like I got to pay close attention because I do actually want some things. I want some things, and it doesn't seem like I'm getting it based on what my current mentality is. So I had to switch it up, and I had to listen to learn from people. I had to get people around me that were actually giving some good information, good knowledge, and I had to work from that point forward. I get when you're stuck in an environment and you don't change and you want to change, but no one's showing you how, you don't see any way different to begin to do that. It's tough and it's hard to take this whole situation that you're in and all you're seeing is what's around you and it's the same thing you've always seen. Then yeah, it's gonna be tough to fix that shit. It's gonna be tough to change and it's gonna be tough to cut the cord. But some people are forced into that.
mm. I agree with both of y'all, and I'm gonna piggyback and take it one step further. Just
Mhm,
when you talked about the ability to adopt, both of y'all spoke about that, and I'm
mhm,
speaking about once you cut the cord. Because we talking about can you, and we both and
mhm,
all know we can and we should. But
mhm,
whether sometimes at that force means that you've been neglecting something for a long time when you have forced to
mhm,
cut that string. You
mhm,
know, when cutting that string in your own way, and you was like, you know what, I just need to get away from this type of shit. I need to cut
mhm,
this cord and start all over again. You're talking
mhm,
about taking evolution, liberation in your own hand. When
mhm,
you're forced to cut, that you're just pushed and shoved, and you have no other alternative. There's no way
mhm,
to look back. So as you said, Sigma Uno, it's good for them because then once you cut the screen, you can't go back.
mhm,
You're done. You just
mhm.
definitely. So the
Right.
ability to adapt, and I'm saying when you're lost, because when you cut that string, you're absolutely lost.
100%.
How do how do you adapt when you're lost? Because you just cut away, as Ira Donnelly just described so well. He said that you're gonna have to cut away. Now everything I once knew, how I live life, is no
Mhm,
longer there. How do you
mhm,
adapt in that lostness?
mhm,
Because everything that you once knew is gone.
mhm.
How do you move forward in that?
Right.
What are some good things that people can do to when they're getting to a point of I've cut the string. I knew I gotta start over. I knew what I went through when I was a child wasn't for me. I knew that I didn't want to be set by the limitation of my society and my environment. I know now that what history have given me was a lie, and true histories allow me to understand and put me in my rightful state and my rightful mind. Knowing these things, how would that empower someone who just cut their string? And now they're saying,
Mhm.
damn, I'm back at zero. I don't know what the fuck to do. What would you say to that?
I think it all depends on the person because the main question is where are you trying to get to? Where are you trying to go?
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Are you trying to level up? Are you trying you what tools do you have a foundation? If you can't determine what your foundation, you basically should start with, hey, what's my foundation? Do you have
Mm.
one? And if you have a foundation, what does it look like? Is it broken up? Does it need to be re-leveled out? Do you need to set the you need to set the studs so you can put the wall up on the side? That is the main question. What do you want this
Mm.
house to look like? And if you don't have an idea, then this is kind of the answer for pretty much everything for me because it didn't start getting real until I started looking inside of myself. And I was like, okay, what
Okay.
am I about? What am I? How? Why am I even in existence? Do I have a
Mm-hmm.
purpose? What's my purpose? And nine times out of ten, you look for those answers from parents, but when parents aren't there or no one around you there, the best way to do it is to begin the inner dive, the deep dive. Okay, what can I do? What's my ability? For a long time, for me, it was landscaping because that's what I did when I was a kid. So cutting grass, I bumped into folks, and they were, one person when I talked to him, he was like, "Look, so what do you plan to do for the rest of your life? You're like 16, 17 right now. What are you gonna do?" And I'm like, "Well, I hadn't really given a thought to that. What's the best? What do you do best?" And I was like, okay, well, I really don't know." He said, "Look, I'm going to give you a number. Call this dude." And he says, well, I said, "Look, yeah, I like numbers. I like math and all the rest of stuff." I turned around and I was like, he was like, I'm going to give you a number to somebody to call. Call this dude. I called the dude. He was like, "Yeah, they come in and talk to me." He said, "It's Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore is referring you for a reason. He probably think you're good at what I do." So I went into the office. It was a mortgage company. And we started off having this conversation. He was like, do you like talking to people?" I said, "Yeah, I can talk to people." He said, "I want you to try something for me." Got me on the phone, whatever. I started talking to folks. At the end of the day, I was good at talking to people, and I was good at math, and I was good at understanding processes. So I started working in this mortgage company. That was just the foundation of what it was for me because I needed something to stand up on. At the end of the day, find your foundation, find what it is that you can stand up on to move to the next level. Do the deep dive on the inside continually because one level is not enough. You're always going to need to keep going. Staying where you are, stagnation is not good for anything. Stand in water or stand in the same place because everything around you is moving. So always plan while you're building and plan what the next level looks like, and always go inside internally to 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 check with yourself to see if this is something that you actually want to do. And then if your final move is outside of the box, what does that look like? But again, deep dive inside of yourself, write this stuff down is another thing that you got to do. If you got a vision, saying it's not enough. Being inside of your head about it, it's not enough. You got to write that shit down. Every step, whether it makes sense to you at the moment or not, you got to write it down. So at the end of the day, it's at the end of the day, it's those are the beginning building tools. I mean, just like with building anything, you need a blueprint. That's your blueprint. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the beginning stages of it.
Awesome, man. That's an awesome breakdown of just what someone can really do when they're lost.
Right.
Donnelly?
I mean, I'd rather continue going first because he pretty much took what I was going to say and added on to it. So I mean, that's pretty much it. The only thing, yeah, that's it. yeah,
That's it. That's it.
that's it. Because I mean, exactly how he started it. Except for all I was going to say was the way that I was going to say it is, who are you? What are you driving? And where are you going? But I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that was the only difference of what he said of what I was going to say. That's why I was just like, well, damn. Because I mean, first you need to find who you are.
Right.
Because if you don't, exactly how he said, if you don't have a foundation, if you don't know who you are, you don't know what the hell you're going to be doing. And then you're going to end up getting back on a yo-yo by trying to figure out
But I
who
just
you are, what it is that you want to do. So now you just got off of a goddamn rope, getting onto a new one and
Right.
create the same process.
but
Mhm.
So
here's
it's
the
like,
thing, guys. Here's
Mhm.
the thing, guys. They just came out the yo-yo. They
mhm.
just cut the string. So
Mhm.
it was difficult for them to have a foundation When the first thing I did when I cut everything that I believe in gone.
Yeah.
You lost everything.
I lost everything.
Mhm.
So how do I get a foundation when I lost everything and everything's gonna be brand new, whether it's
And
metaphysics, whether
that's the reason
astrology,
why
whether
you have
it's
to find yourself. Because if you don't
Mhm.
know who you are, then you don't know what the fuck you're going to do. And if you don't know what the fuck you're going to do,
self-discovery.
you're just going to keep walking around. It's the same thing when you have individuals who graduate out of high school and they get into college because they were told they need to go to college, but they're over here doing some bullshit degree because they're like, well, I'm at least doing what I said. I was told to go to college. I don't know exactly what I want to go, what I want to major in or what I want to minor in, but I'm still in college doing something. You're like, you're wasting time. And you don't know what the fuck you want to do.
Right.
But you're just there because you're like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, even though I don't know what my next step is. I have some time to figure it out. That time that you're using to try and figure out is time that you are wasting, because if tomorrow is not promised, what did you just do? You fucking died not doing a damn thing.
Right.
So what can you really say that you have accomplished if you were not working towards anything?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
find yourself, find what it is that find that foundation. Find your core beliefs, your values, your beliefs.
There you go.
What is it? What is the things? What are the things that you respect? What are your boundaries that you will not tolerate? Things that you will not tolerate. You will not allow these certain things to happen. If you see these things happening, you need to reevaluate yourself. What are things? Do those steps. Do those steps. Look within. Know who you are. Be confident in yourself and your abilities, and then continue moving forward. Make sure you have those plans of where you want to be. Make your little vision board, whatever it is you need to do to remind yourself of that vision.
Mhm.
Because again, like how Mr. Sigmund said, write it down. Whether that is if you need to draw it, maybe you're not the best at writing, you can't describe it exactly. You might be able to draw it a little bit better. That might be one of your gifts. Maybe one of the things that you can do is hop on the computer and type up a whole paper about what it is that you're going to do, putting the specifics in there, what it's going to look like. Having at this time, I'm going to do this. By this time, I will have achieved this. Or either at this time and have like put a little picture there with a better description of what it is that you want. And you just maybe had said briefly about it, but you found exactly what it is that you want. You put that there. So when you're reading through it later on in life, you're like, dang, it's the same thing to where if I were to write a letter to myself right now for the future, when I read that letter, I'm like, damn, I've accomplished a lot more. Either, dang, I had taken some steps back. I need to make sure I need to get myself having that self accountability,
Mhm.
holding yourself accountable. If you are not able to hold yourself accountable, you're not going to be able to achieve anything because you're constantly going to find ways to discredit yourself or think that it's okay. You're going to find ways to procrastinate.
The unfortunate piece is that about is a devil's workshop, and I know we've all been here. You're gonna find some people to either hang around, and before you know it, you're in full you're in full swing kicking with folks that ain't really on the level, and are doing whatever it takes for them to survive. You see what I'm saying? So even in that, you got to decide: am I a leader or am I a follower? And if you're a leader, then that means you can think beyond somebody telling you what to do. You see what I'm saying? And everybody gets trapped in something. And I've been there, done it, but it didn't work for me. I just didn't like the idea of dodging bullets, and I don't have nothing to match with no orange jumpsuit. So I just didn't like the idea that I had to pull back and be
I
like, look, okay,
physically, literally had to dodge bullets.
right, right. I mean, we've all been there. So to get out of that, to get away from that, I had to think. After the first person I saw, after the action, no, not the first, it was maybe the fifth person I saw get shot and actually die. I was like, well, this shit is not going to work for me because I'm not with it. You know what I'm saying? And then put in a position where you have to do something like that. No, that's not how I want to lead my life because again, it's straight to prison or it's death. And even you even learn in that situation because again, like I said, either you're a leader or you're a follower. And when you find out what you are and you realize that what your capabilities are, even at that, it's like I can do better. I can. If I can come up with this, if I can lead people, then I can do it under different circumstances and make life more successful for me. Either way.
Agreed. I love both of you gentlemen's point. Everybody really poured in to their perspective of what that is. And the only thing that I would add to what was said from the beginning to the second and now all the way back around is add
mm,
principles that gives you value. Learn
mm,
principles that give you values in life, and that way that's a foundation being set because your principles are going to be the foundation that you set. So your
mm,
choice is going to be your decision that you make is going to be based upon your value.
mm,
So take the principles, add the values to your life, and you're able to do
mm,
something totally different. So you're
mm,
talking about being lost. That's how you find yourself. That's why both of these gentlemen talked about the first thing you have to do is find yourself. You
mhm,
got to really realize who you are. You got to recognize. And in the old time, they tell you if you can't recognize it, you're not able to see something. You're not able to recognize.
mm,
You know the old African the old proverbs. They always
mhm,
say that joint. So if you're not able to recognize it, what can you see? You can't
mhm,
see anything. You're blinded by it. So once
mhm,
you cut that string and you realize that I'm no longer a part of that yo-yo class, I'm not in that state of mind, then
mhm,
realize what principles will I live by that adds value to my life, and I make decisions in my life that enhance me every single day. When you
mhm,
can do that, I guarantee you, life will always change and continue to evolve for you. From now, for the rest of your life, as long as you use those principles as values and you make the decision that's going to enhance your life. And with that being said, because finding your core and understanding who you are, it requires a formula. And everybody formula is different. And when I say
mhm,
formula, I'm talking about in the aspect of using alchemical process. Because in alchemy, you're changing the elements, you're changing the ideas, you're changing every aspect of you, you're transmuting energy. So
mm.
from that concept and that understanding, what is a formula? What's your formula? How can someone learn a formula? Because we all know that it's going to be different for each individual because everybody different. Nobody the same. Nobody
Mhm,
going to receive this information right now. We just talked about something, and all three of us could speak differently about the one thing that we were all talking about.
mhm.
So all three of us have different formulas. So could y'all just talking about the formula that you use, one that you can share with others? Go for
Well,
it. Ain't it?
I mean, in conversation over the years, in whatever generation that passes, there are, there's a, there's one common denominator. What are your needs?
Mm,
So, based on what you need, there's a direction that you need to go in. Just like economical structure, you need to have a place to live, you need food, you need clothing, and you need money to maintain all of that. Not necessarily in that order, but those are the things. That is the main, that is the basis of a formula for you to decide how you're going to live because none of those things are given to you freely. None of that's given to you freely. You have to determine how I'm going to survive. Food is a necessity. Education is helpful in living moving forward for you to get a job. Water is a necessity. All these things that you have to have are, but again, I'm not putting it in a specific order because for some it comes into their life differently. You have some kids that have starved and determined I ain't gonna never starve again. So I'm gonna work and when I do get my money, I'm gonna eat whatever I want to eat. That's based on a starving child's
mm,
perspective. And then you have the children that, man, I lived a life, but man, it was so hard and struggle. We struggled for everything. I don't want to struggle for nothing else again. So I'm gonna work, get money, and make sure I'll never struggle again. I'm gonna buy my mama a house. I'm gonna pay her rent, pay her bills. I'm gonna take care of my mama. That is another perspective of the child that was raised, but it was a struggle to watch You see what I'm saying? So all of
Mm-hmm.
those things inside of that person made them determine, hey, I got to do something. I got to do something different because what I'm looking at ain't what I want. So they're basically beginning this mindset that they got to change. It starts in the mind, and that's the beginning of it. Yes, you have the hunger, and most people ask you if you're hungry, you're gonna do what you got to do to eat. And it doesn't mean that's figuratively because hunger means I need money, I need to fulfill obligation, I need to take care of what I need to take care of. Family, whether it's mama, daddy, brother, sister, my children, my girl, whatever. So that's the first thing that clicks in your brain. I gotta get money. So what can I do to get money? I done filled out like 20 applications. Ain't nobody trying to hire me. So I'm gonna do something that I gotta do. It may not be the right thing, but you did it, and that was a start. So you find out what it took to get the money, whether it was fast or not. When you got the money, if it was fast, the first part of the plan failed because here you are in a situation. Now you got to fix it, or you got to do something differently so you don't fall in the same situation again. So the formula is based on the home that you grew up in, and sometimes not even that. You even got the kids that are middle class that have been taken care of for the most part, but they just tired of hearing what their parents got to say, and they don't want to follow no rules. So when I get out, I'm gonna do whatever I want to. I'm gonna have what I want, and everybody gonna tell me what to do. That's a whole nother mentality. You see what I'm saying? There's a formula based around that idea as well. And then there's some people that have just been hurt. I think you posted something, Danley, about the creation of a what was it? It was an empath and a narcissist based on their circumstances, right? Based on the stuff that they went through, they're going to either go that way or they're going to go the other way. They're going to want to see somebody do well, or they're going to don't give a damn and do whatever they want and hurt everybody around them. Those are all mentalities, and all of them have this formula to get there. And the basis of the mentality to get there is you're tired, you're fed up, and you need a change. But that's the beginning of you connecting to your alchemical process, right? Because something about it didn't sit right in your mind. So now you got to do something to change it. The unfortunate part of it, you're not changing a mindset, you're changing symptoms, and that's it. So you have to go from changing symptoms, this whole symptomatic process, to changing to actually making some decisions they're gonna help you build something that's gonna be solid and not just based on this whole symptomatic piece. You see what I'm saying? So if we can get outside of the symptoms and say this is the root cause of why I do what I do. Now I need to meditate because I want a deeper place. That's the second stage of I started out this way. Now I need to do this. I need to do something else. And as you're walking along, you're gonna bump into people that are gonna tell you these things. Hey, why don't you just sit back and relax? Life ain't it's not that hard. You're making it harder than what it is. So if you bump into somebody like Impossible, he gonna tell you, look, well, just relax. Have you ever meditated before? And that question come up. What's meditation? That's another step into the direction of changing the whole process, right? Because the minute I meditated for the first time, my world opened up to something I just never thought it could be. You see what I'm saying? So that's another step. And again, this all depends on the person. It all depends on where you come from and what your reasoning is for breaking out and doing something or making a change in your life. It's all based on that thing. But the second stage of all of that is, hey, look, I've kind of dug into myself. I've had conversations with myself. I wrote this stuff down. I want to get there, but I just don't know how.
Mm-hmm.
Meditation is the first key. They say that what did they say? When the pupil's ready, the teacher will arrive.
Mm-hmm.
Will show up.
Will appear. Yep.
That's it. So when that happens, here comes the teacher. And you may meet them anywhere, gas stations, out of the store, at a park, wherever. But that person's not gonna hesitate to tell you how they feel about what they see in you and what your possibility is. Now they can't get you there. They can't. It's incumbent on you to get there. And my whole concept with helping people is, look, if I want it more than you want it, then ain't nothing else I can do. You gotta want it. So if you want it, I can assist you in getting there, but you have to want it. And that's another step in this whole process. It's like, okay, how bad do I want it? I'm going in this level. I'm going to these levels to get it. How bad do I really, really want it? Or am I cool sitting at this place where all I want to do is work, build up money, pay my taxes, and live? If that's what it is, then stay on that level. Don't don't try to get above that, because you'll hurt yourself, or you'll change things so much, or you'll be more discouraged than you were before you started. Again, it's all incumbent on the person. My aspirations are a little bit high, are on a different level. So I always kind of take a step back and hope to find out what the person wants, and then if I can help you, I can. If not, I'll put you in the direction of somebody that can. So,
That,
but yeah, that's for me. Those are the beginning stages, and again, it depends on the individual and what they've suffered through, or what they've gone through to get to the place where they're at.
oh man, I love that. I love that breakdown, man, because you
Hmm.
really gave a breakdown of where people actually develop their formulas from. You
Right,
know, their
right.
environment, the way that they were raised, their belief, things like that. That does create a formula. So yeah, you give a great breakdown, brother, on how people. What's your formula? What that look like to you? That's beautiful, bro. Donnie, what you want to say about that? What's your formula?
I'm thinking. I'm thinking based off of the things that he said, and I'm figuring out what's my formula. If that makes
Well,
sense.
that's the whole
Yeah.
thing. That's the beautiful thing about the formula. Everybody formula different.
Yeah, everybody's
What I
formula
would
is different, but I mean, just based off of, so with it, I'm thinking about, okay, what is it that, where am I aiming to go? Why do I feel that I need to go there? And then trying to backpedal to figure out why I feel this way, where it's coming from, based off what he said. That's why I was saying I'm thinking about what is my formula and like where it came from. So that's why I'm just like, dang.
oh
It's like you
man,
said, yeah, I
that's
dissect
gonna
that.
take some years of self discovery to figure
Yeah,
that out.
it will, but I mean, why not
Yeah.
start now?
Oh, awesome, awesome. This is a great place to start. This is a great place to start.
I mean,
Great
just what
platform
he
to
just
start.
said, I thought about that. I was like, dang. So, because I mean, even
Well,
when it came down to certain things that I used to do, or even that I do still, I broke it down to like, okay, when did this start? Why do I do this? Okay, and what caused that, and actually go through the whole CBT with it to understand what is the underlying root of this, where it all stemmed from. So that way I have a better understanding of, okay, cool. Why does this feel like a traumatic situation? Or why does this bring me so much joy? Or why does this bring me sadness type deal? To understand exactly like, okay, cool. So what Mr. Sigmundo just said, I'm like, everything that has happened in our life plays a part on the way that we think and the things that we feel we need, and also into what we feel that we want. So I'm just like, every single situation plays into that formula. The way that somebody possibly treated you, the way that someone could say hi to you, even when it comes down to someone turning you down from being a lover in the past or something, that right there can end up leading you into thinking something else or conducting yourself in a different way to avoid that same type of outcome in the future. So I mean, it's like how's that song go? Every step I take, like everything plays into what you're going to do next. And it may not be what happens right now will dictate what you do tomorrow, but it could dictate what you do in a couple of years without you even realizing that this moment right now is what's causing you to feel that way, to act that way later on.
Mm.
I
So
love that. I, Go ahead. Were you saying something else?
No, I was just saying, I was like, so back to how I said, I was like, I'm just thinking about what's my formula. What was thrown in the pot to create what the fuck I am right now. I know it wasn't
Man.
priced and everything nice.
Well, you know, that's a psychological self-discovery. And I would add into what's your formula, I would add into cultural spiritual consciousness. You know, we have to add culture into the formula. We have to add spirituality into the formula. We have to allow spirituality to raise us to a level of consciousness that, as my brother was just saying, damn, what is my formula? Well, I had to change my whole formula. That's why when I cut the strings and I can understand being lost, then you realize, hey, you know what? This is the frequency that I'm going to be on. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I learned. So going through the history, going through the metaphysics, going through the science, you will understand a formula because everybody's formula different. So from an alchemical process, it's a marriage of the groom and the bride. It's the marriage that takes place. It's bringing these elements all in together. So when you're talking about what's your formula, yeah, everybody's formula is going to be totally different. Nobody going to have the same formula. If that's why I see a lot of people when they want to be like someone else and they struggle, or they go into the same class that someone is making $1 million on, or they find it difficult to make $1,000 because they're looking to use the same formula that individual use, and they're not using a formula from them because they got to be critiqued. You know, everything's got to be critiqued. Even when I was taught, when you do rituals and someone give you a ritual, don't do the exact same ritual. You actually have to add something else in there to make it your own. You either take something out or add something in to make it your own. So the formula is a very intricate weaving understanding of self, because it's a self-development that happens within that formula. It's an awareness that happens within inside of that formula. Because once you really understand the essence, or the essence of what is that you're looking for and self-discovering, you're going to have a whole different aspect of conception of what that formula looks like. Because you're going to understand the thing that you're actually searching for, you're it. You're the mystery, you're the odyssey. That we are a lifetime odyssey. I think I like that, soul odyssey. Let me write that down. That's what we are. We are soul odysseys. We are self-discovering all the time. We evolving all the time. And if you remember that, I think his name was Odysseus or whatever, when he got on that island with those women, I think he was over there for what, 50, 60 years. He ain't even realizing. He was having fun, just eating good, sleeping with the women, having a good time. In 50, 60 years, he's like, oh man, I got to get back on my journey. So to your formula, if you feel like you left off, you feel like you dropped off, don't worry about it. Brush yourself off, go back to the drawing board and figure out your formula. Realize that thing come with you. And I'll say to the formula, understand that you are the code. You are the code to decipher. That's why this whole thing in everyone's breakdown, it was always know thyself, which means there has to be a code that needs to be understand within. You will understand the mentality that what dwells within. So can y'all talk about the code that dwells within, or the code that someone can find within themselves, a code that liberates you, a code that takes you to a whole different hemisphere when it comes releasing and liberating yourself from this debacle that we call reality?
That code that you speak of, I feel like that's when you say that, the first thing that popped into my head was the DNA. And the reason that I say the DNA is that code is already written in you. There are some things that are part of you that cannot be taught, and you're wondering how you even know these things.
Mm.
That's it.
I, I I am not a master to be able to speak on that, but that is what came to me. That's the most that I can probably go in on it.
Oh man, you did good. You did. Look, I love the way you opened it up that you even understood that the code was inside of the DNA. I love that part. Study the DNA. Study the DNA. You'll know something. Study that DNA. You'll break that code. Go ahead, Sigma.
I was just gonna say something similar because it's just because you're in the moment that you're in and things are not necessarily working out for you, it doesn't mean that you're born to be at that place. So looking back into your family down your family line and your DNA or the Akashic records and finding out, hey, what actually was am I what am I capable of doing? And I kind of tell this story because when it comes to capabilities, I believe I was in such a rough place in my life that I didn't believe that black people were capable of doing or building anything that was positive because I've been around so much negative. But to begin, um, wow, we did some pretty amazing some people. Not only that, my own family members were responsible for a lot of things historically that I would have never thought was possible with me. So learning that and understanding that DNA is what DNA is what put me in the mindset of being able to understand math and understand the complicated things like building, geometry, all those sorts of things. If that it was passed down to me, and not only that, we are we're spiritually it's our disposition spiritually to be the creator of literally everything that surrounds us, and the same idea that we're made of everything that surrounds us, but who we connect to spiritually is the basis of the existence of all things. You see what I'm saying? So it's that's kind of my point of reference in regards to code, the DNA code, the spiritual code, the and those things for me are inevitable. So when you find someone struggling, I guess the best way to support someone that is struggling in that sense is to kind of look back. I mean, and I tell my kids all the time the things that my parents were capable of doing, and the history of us and the things that were created, to look back in the code and who we are spiritually and how we're spiritual giants and our capability to travel spiritually and to understand dimension. All the rest of those things are a code to our full existence. I think where we're stumped is that we forget that we're those people, or we're that type of people. You see what I'm saying? So understanding that we are that type of people, studying and understanding what that means to us. I think I was having a conversation last night. We're saying the same thing. It's like, hey, look, my brother. I was like, we're not limited by what we're doing, not at all. Period. This is a step in a bigger process and a bigger picture, where this is one step in a bigger picture. We are not limited to things. Everything around us has been whitewashed, so that's another barrier to break through in order to understand who we are and what we're capable of. I mean, I always reference Greenwood, Oklahoma, because it was a perfect example of what our capabilities were here on Earth. But then you talk about the Sumerians, you talk about the Anunnaki, you talk about, man, you can go down the list. Our
The
DNA,
Olmecs, the Aztecs,
yeah,
all
that's
of them.
it. The Kemet, I mean, all of that. Our DNA is responsible for some great and powerful things that have happened throughout history. We've just been whitewashed. So, in order to figure out, hey, you have to get with some people or engage some people that actually know this and believe that this is the history of who we are. This is the history of us. And I think knowing that, and I don't say that I don't have down days. I do still, but at the end of the day, it's like, look, we're responsible. This is not an easy feat, and at the end of the day, it's not like we haven't done this before. We just got to break through more barriers. The further down in the generations we get, the less the information is dispensed properly, the harder it is to break through that ceiling and get where we know we can we're capable of getting to like we were before. So, yeah.
Oh man, I love that. I love it because both of y'all went into the DNA. And I remember the first time that I actually was really introduced to the DNA at a way of really understanding as a receiver and something that output. So output and receive at the same time is when I was in this webinar with Billy Carson called the I Imagination.
That's
And he
it.
talked about when they actually downloaded a book into a gram of DNA and they replicated, I think, so many different terabytes. And then they took it from the DNA, then they uploaded it on the computer, downloaded it back to the computer to the DNA, and they say, damn, the DNA now can receive and upload at the same time. And they did that on 1 gram of DNA, and I think it was so many different petabytes. And I don't want to misspeak on how much it was. I don't remember off the team. But I know there was a certain amount of petabytes. And I was like, damn, I had to go look up what a petabyte is. And that's a million terabytes. I say, shit. I had a computer that had 3 terabytes, and I had memory for goddamn years and years. For just, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, damn.
1 gram of DNA can hold 215 petabytes.
How much?
215.
215 petabytes.
1 gram of DNA.
1 gram of DNA. So, and that's receiving and uploading at the same time.
That's it.
So that when we talk about the power that dwells within us, that's the power that dwells within us.
Right.
We are cosmic beings. We have the ability to create with a divine consciousness that dwells within. We are that. That is us. That thing we seeking for. How they say it? What's seeking for you? What you seeking for? Seeking for you.
It's seeking for you. It's looking in the other direction. That's
the
right.
same thing looking for you too. So that's a beautiful thing to really understand. And with this super moon coming up right now, shining tomorrow, I hope everybody is able to take advantage of the energy and the frequency that's coming in. I plan to definitely partake in some isolated time for myself. Will be no electricity going on at all. It's gonna be just me and just nature. I'm gonna see if I can. I don't know what the weather is gonna be. I know normally on these moments they look to hide shit, so they're gonna make it stormy and shit like that. I'm gonna clear all that shit out. I'm gonna have a beautiful super moon, blue super moon. Yeah. Blue super moon, and we gonna goddamn kick that shit out. Outside of that, man, I really enjoyed the conversation tonight, guys. I mean, it was awesome. We went all the way around the world. It gave some good footprints on where someone can go and understand what it takes to self-discovery, to understand what they have to go within themselves, how to set a foundation, using the spiritual and cultural. And we didn't even talk about the symbols that you want to be able to use as far as using that code. That's definitely one thing that you want to be able to use. And dealing with this code is using the symbols, the signs and symbols of antiquity, not just the regular things that come about, but those things that have been set throughout time, through all of these different cultures. You want to be able to use the symbol in spite of the culture. You want to be able to take a look at the symbol. So with that, any closing remarks for anyone tonight? Any closing remarks? Let's go around the table. Closing remarks. Donnie said, "I got nothing."
I ain't got nothing.
Got nothing.
My lips are sealed. I ain't got nothing. Everything is on the table.
All right, blessings on that. Blessings on that. Sigma Uno.
I think everybody's got their own journey. Sometimes it's hard to be able to know what to do to kick off. Um, and damn it, we go through tons of shit getting to the place that we're supposed to be at. We
Fact.
go through much shit. I can't even remember how many times had to reinvent myself. You see what I'm saying? From the time that I thought where I was at was it, and then figuring out that shit is not it. So now I gotta morph into something else to make things
Yeah.
work. And then, oh, is that it? No, it ain't, because it was something that somebody else said and it don't work for me. I had to literally morph into myself until I have to back up and be like, okay, what is it that I actually want? I have a love for my folks. I have a love for stability for my people, love for stability for myself, and I found a direction based on that. And it doesn't agree with everybody. Not everybody doesn't agree with it. And the idea that it's hard to get to was the clear indication that that's where I needed to go. Because during the strife of the time, I began to learn things, and more so learning things about people, and understanding people, and realizing, hey, I got to give people room to be exactly who they are, people, and just give them a little bit, give them a little nudge, back up and watch them to live and watch them change. You know.
Fact. Fact. My closing remarks is simply, along your journey, continue to evolve and grow. Never give up. Never look back. We got an echo. Somebody got some echo somewhere.
I don't know what that is.
I'm muted.
I don't even know where they're coming from. But anywho, they just making noise. But we gonna ride on. But like I said, my closing remark is just simply, I mean, love yourself. If you got a problem with loving yourself, ask yourself why. You know, self-discovery is always a wonderful thing. Understand what yo-yo you on. What was your what is your formula? You know, how do you get the methodology and the mentality that you have today? How was it cultivated? Where did it come from?
Right.
Do you believe in something that's causing you problems and pain? If you believe in something that's causing you problem and pain, I would go like my brother just said, I need to reinvent myself and get rid of that pain. I need to learn to detach. Learn the law of detachment. And that's the one thing you definitely want to do when you cut the screen. Learn the law of detachment. Learn how to detach. Learn how to have gratitude in your life. Be grateful that you are on this journey. Speak with confidence and power. Speak with vision and courageousness. Be that. Don't let nobody tell you what you're not able to do. Never let nobody tell you that. I'm going to say that every show if I got to. Never let nobody tell you what's possible for you. You never want to do that. You want to discover your own self. You want to discover your own path. You may take the advice from others, but always come to a place where you know what to do with that information with yourself. And with that, I want to thank everybody for another show tonight of Talk That Crap. And for that, we're going to say peace, love, and power.
Line of haters observe and not to support, to discourage. Vision so passionate it's disturbing. Create a rise, I was positive surgeon. Cosmic post, the emergence. Brain of eternal, hands on my time. Positive